This is Fat Kings Podcast, episode number 12 for the week of January 31st, 2011. I'm Phil Olson.
TJ Brownfield.
Welcome to the show.
What you want, what you want.
All right, well, welcome to the show this week. Last week was the Big Man Show, and
Yes.
it cost us one of our Facebook people.
Yes, we alienated one of our Facebook people. That or they got hacked. I'd like to believe the latter, but
No, I think we alienated. How was your week this week?
yeah, I was just going to ask you the same thing. A pretty good week. I'm feeling much better, as you can tell from my voice. Got to the gym this week, which was like take 2 weeks off the gym and try and go back and work out, and it's just hell on earth. So it was a little bit rough. How about yourself?
Yeah, this week nothing new and exciting except for I'm going on that diet. Well, I went off the diet because I found my new love of Guinness.
Sandwich in a bottle. Sandwich in a bottle. Yes.
So I've been drinking quite a bit of that. Unfortunately, like I said, it was way off my diet, and I'm sure I'll get flack for it on the forums. But
You should. That's way off. If you're gonna drink liquor, if you gotta have liquor for some reason, hard liquor is normally better calorie wise, but you still gotta watch those sugars, sir. So
yeah. Well, other than that, nothing new except for we went into a little bit last show, or in our light show anyway, and that is the Red State. So Kevin Smith and Red State, and since you got a little bromance going.
I do. Well, fellow fat man, you got to support your fellow fat man, sir. Yeah, well, Kevin Smith, as you know, the director of Clerks and Chasing Amy and Clerks 2 and Zack and Mary Make a Porno. Very funny stuff. Funny guy. He decided to do a horror movie and step away from his normal, repertoire and really extend himself. But he's really doing something different with this film. He shot it for under $4 million, which, $4 million sounds like a lot. But when you look at your average Hollywood studio production, and that's nothing. It's chump change. And has just gotten some really amazing new techniques on the way he's going to release the film, and a huge supporter of his already, but this is really revolutionizing, in my opinion, the film industry and the way things are getting done. He's been up at the festival this week showing the film,
Sundance.
and not too far away from here. So excited, and coming up here pretty soon, he's going to be releasing it select theaters. Just through his own company, and helping him build some awareness and promoting that, and it's going to be an amazing thing. So I'm really looking forward to it, and you can bet that Fat Kings is going to be there.
Definitely. So, all right. Well, this week we have something a little bit different because we got our first official guests.
Yes.
And so we would like to welcome the lovely ladies from Two Big Women on the Couch, which is twobigwomenonthecouch.com. So
Yes.
Welcome, Kim and Terry.
The two sweetest people on the internet.
That's right.
How are you guys doing?
We're doing well.
Good.
This is Kim, and I really want to thank you for the opportunity to spend some time on your show.
It's good to have you guys, and I think you were our first official friend on YouTube. So
Happy
So
to know
for-
you guys, and we were really pleased when you both of you actually joined the twobigwomenonthecouch.com website.
yeah. So why don't you tell us a little bit about twobigwomenonthecouch.com, kind of what it is, what it's about, what people can expect from the site.
We developed Two Big Women on a Couch because we were looking for a place where we could build community for living large in a size 2 culture. And so we wanted to develop a specific community where you would be safe and feel free to share your ideas. We talk about laughing, crying, and just sharing joy with each other.
We actually went through the first iteration about a year and a half ago, and really revamped everything in October of this year. And now we've got about 1,100 members on the site. And as Terry said, it's absolutely going to be and becoming actually the go-to place for plus-size women, formerly plus-size women, and all of those who are friends, family, and those who love us. So it's a really fun environment. It's kind of like if you would, it's like a kind of a Facebook for the larger, women and again, those folks who love us. So because it's got so many ways to really connect with each other, and we're really excited about what's happening with the site.
I think that one of the things that impressed me the most about the Two Big Women on a Couch really was just the amount of the amount of support and the amount of, I mean, we're gruff and we make jokes about being big, and we're much more sarcastic and callous about it. But your site is very much more a sincere, heartfelt kind of environment where people really do let their emotions show. And I was very impressed with the amount of vulnerability that people were willing to show on the site, just even in the forums. And you guys definitely have a very warm and loving feeling whenever I've seen any of your videos, and I really think that comes through as the brand image of that site. And I know that I don't want to break it down into something that sounds very clinical, but it really does come through in the site, and I'm very impressed with that.
Thank you very much.
Thank
I
you
think
very
that the women really do feel that. You're right. There's in fact, we've been very amazed at really how much they've shared. I mean, the depth of their sharing. We've learned so much more about some of these folks. Have really come to trust us and the site and so forth. And our real goal is to really make sure that it stays a safe place, a very safe place for exactly that kind of thing to happen. Would you say?
Yeah, absolutely.
Now, have you guys always been? I mean, have you always been plus size folks, or is that something that came on later in life for you, or are you what we call the genetically
Well,
big?
I was
like
I was
myself?
actually a super athlete as a kid. I was just an amazing athlete as a kid. I ran and jumped faster and further than just about anyone. And so I didn't have a plus size issue back then, but I ate everything in sight. Certainly being an athlete, I mean, I ate just everything. And so when I stopped in my early 20s, all that exercise, I mean, I rode bikes, I played racquetball, I swam, I ran track and field, I did all that stuff. But when I stopped, I didn't stop eating the way that I had. And certainly that's kind of my story. So I was never a fat kid or overweight or anything like that. So really started gaining weight at about 24, and I'll be 50 next year.
Wow, you put that out there, didn't you?
Well, what the heck?
I would say for myself,
Hey,
proud of it. I would say for myself, it's been genetic. I come from a big boned family, but I also would say that I've lost and gained over 100 pounds twice. So I've been there and done that twice, and I know what it takes, and I know what that feels like to be both, and as an adult. So, within the last 20 years, I've gained and lost 100 pounds twice.
And for me, I always have that mentality of like, I'm always that person that I used to be, and sometimes I just really recognize that no, I'm really not. I can't run and jump or do those things that I used to do. So yeah, we've got some stories.
So we talked a little bit about things that we might cover this week, and Kim, you had a couple good ideas. One of them I liked was the kind of society's view of big women and big men. Like how does that differ? And it may be our point of view, our perspective. We're always talking from the man's point of view, but I'm kind of interested to hear from a woman's point of view. What do you see as how society views overweight people? And then your personal thoughts maybe on overweight people versus, or overweight women versus overweight men. I mean, do you think it differs?
I do.
Absolutely, we think it differs. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Again, I'm not a man, but I certainly think that the society as a whole is more accepting of overweight men.
It feels that way. It absolutely does. It feels that way, and it's just kind of a different standard for heavy guys versus heavy women.
Now, as from a woman's point of view, do you view fat men different than fat women?
I don't think I do, but again, I think men do, and I also think women that are thin put more pressure on women that are heavy. I think women do a lot of damage to other women as well.
And I think that the issues
Probably.
are certainly the same. So the issues are the same. Like when you have to lose a lot of weight, the possibility of having healthcare issues and things that are just not right with your body and so on and so forth are the same. The
Right.
possibility of heart attacks or diabetes or all those kinds of things that can come when you are particularly significantly overweight are really kind of the same. But I do think that the perceptions that people have of a large woman or a plus-size woman or fat woman versus a large man, or I don't know what all the other names that you call it, a large
Big
guy.
Daddy.
Yeah, Big Daddy. Yeah.
I like that one the best so far.
And we talked about that a little bit in our last show
Yeah.
as far as the views on men and women, and I think that women have been held to a standard that men are starting to get to. So,
I agree.
Women have, women have always, they held themselves to a certain standard, right? They want to be, or society, whatever it is, wants them to be 18, 19 forever. They try to keep that same figure, and they're held to that standard. And I think men, it was acceptable to gain weight and become fat later on in life. Whereas now we're starting to feel the pressure of that Hollywood skinny guy and the push for a healthier lifestyle. And I think men are starting to get there, but women have probably had to deal with it for the past 50, 60 years, whereas men maybe the past 10 years.
What do you think has been the evolution in that? What has changed for men? Because we've always had to fit that Hollywood style, or always had to try to be a size 0 or 2 or whatever it is. And guys haven't. So what do you think has been the change for men?
I think TJ really said it really well in the last show. Was you're seeing a lot more of the male media faces, the actors that you're seeing in TV and film have become more pretty boys and less John Wayne leathery, gruff, rough, Steve McQueen kind of guys. I don't know if Steve McQueen was a thing guy, but you're seeing less of that grizzled, hardened man and more of the pretty boy, attractive, very sculpted, very emaciated kind of look that's becoming more and more popular. And I think that you really hit on something that, women really have held women to that standard, in Hollywood and in society more than men have held women to that standard. But you can't isolate it. Once it's out there, once that image is out there and that's vision of what is expected to be attractive, it does permeate through society, and you've seen it throughout ages where before plus size women were highly coveted and painted, and then you see in our society where it's become these unrealistic bony men and women who are just there's no curve to the woman, there's no real muscle definition to the man. I mean, if it's there, it's very like a very lean, ripped kind of sinewy look. It's not the big burly strong look like you even had in the 80s. So I think that's where it's coming from.
So the consumer drives what is in the industry, and the consumer is getting younger now. Like where we were growing up, your consumer was primarily the parents or the older crowd. So they played to that a little bit more. Now the consumer is young, so everything's driven by this young image. And young people, a large majority of them have that thinner figure, I guess. And so I think there's a lot of things that drive it. I don't like it personally. I mean, women are probably thinking, "Ha ha, welcome to our world," but I don't care for it too much personally. But I think a lot of it's pressures we put on ourselves, and I think you can still have a fulfilling, joyful life being overweight, just as you can being skinny, if you can get past that mental block of, I'm overweight, and people, when I walk in a room, everybody's looking at me, and a guy or a girl doesn't like me because I'm overweight, and kind of start shifting the way you think away from that, and just start, just have a little more confidence, a little more self-worth than people do, instead of beating yourself up so much.
So what do you guys think about that report that recently came out that said where basically it's about 75% of Americans are overweight, or what would be considered overweight by the current measurement standards? How do you think that shapes the way things are going, and where do you see the discrepancies in society as far as that reality and then what you see out there in the world in your daily experience?
Well, I think it's tragic. I think it's tragic that we're raising a society of people that are either truly overweight and obese or perceived to be overweight and obese. But I do think it has a lot to do with what we're eating as Americans on the whole, and especially, and that's all I can really relate to. And also the lack of activities for our children to be engaged in. So many of our children come home and get on the computers, get in front of the TVs. We don't have the after school programs. We don't have the nutrition programs. Yeah, I think it's sad.
I would agree with that. I'm real pleased, though, that there are that attention is being called to it. I mean, all the way right to the nation's capital and so forth and so on. With Michelle Obama trying to galvanize folks around that.
Do you think that the way we've kind of built American society, and even to try and be competitive in the world, like it seems like where the money is at and where the jobs are at is behind a desk. And you're sitting there all day driving a computer. You're basically working from behind a desk, and you're using your mind obviously a lot more than you would we're not a nation of manufacturing anymore per se. Most of the folks who, that, do you think that has had an impact as well?
No, certainly.
Absolutely.
Certainly. It's I think like you both are saying, with the advent now of computer games and computers, and you just really don't really have to go very far, do very much to be entertained. Back when I was a kid, we didn't have all this. We had some black and white TV for a while, and a backyard maybe to play in or something, So I think it's very, very different.
And I agree with what you said about our
I
work
think
as well. We work behind a computer all day long. I, for one, do 12-hour days sometimes. That's all at a desk. That's all sitting down, and it's all at a computer.
So I think we have to actually be more mindful of that. We actually have to remember to do something. In fact, I've just, over the last couple of months have really been, kind of behind the computer and kind of not doing a whole lot of activity and really feeling it in my body. My body is, even in the last couple of months, feeling so different. And I have to really mentally say, I've got to do something about this. I actually have to do something. So I happen to have a Wii, from a few years back, and I decided, why not? Why not just go bowl a couple of bowlings? Why not box a few times and actually make a routine out of it? Something fun with this machine that I happen to have in my home, and just try to get my body moving again. And it hurt like hell to move like that, but it was awesome.
They had the Wii Fit.
You got the
Right,
fit,
yeah. For me, I think for me, it's I look at it as we're just kind of partially we're an excessive society. So everything for us is excess. It's bigger, it's better. There's more of it. If you get what a real serving size of food is at a restaurant, you're like, what the hell is this? Is this like the appetizer? So when we eat. At least me. So I'm fat because I eat, right? It's not genetic. It's not medical. It's because, right. I mean, that's where my fat comes from. And when I sit down to eat, if I eat until I'm not hungry, that's not satisfying to me. I have to eat until my stomach hurts, until, I can't fit any more food in. More of a binge eating type of deal. And I think as a society, we do that. And we have a lot of excess. So we get bored, we go to the fridge, I mean, how often do you catch yourself, at least me, I catch myself all the time. I'm like sitting there, I'm like, nothing's on TV, and I'll walk to the refrigerator 10 times, open it and stare at it. I don't know. It's just that excessive society. And then the other part is there isn't a lot of options for healthy eating. I think we talked about in another show, but you can go get 2 candy bars for 50 cents. If you want to buy a healthy bar or something healthy, it's going to cost you $3-4. So your options are limited. That's why you see a lot of extremely wealthy people, they can afford all that healthy food, right? But your middle of the road people, you're just trying to pay your bills, and you're trying to feed a family, and you're just going to go with whatever you can afford, and often it's not the nutritional food that you need. So I think those are the 2 main contributing factors in my opinion.
I agree with that. And however, like when you go to a fast food place, at least around here, you have the caloric numbers or whatever, like on a lot of the menus, and so all of the menus, I think, in Western Washington and all. But I don't really pay attention to that. I roll up because I want a cheeseburger and whatever else I want. But I think that they are trying now to make it so that at least we're conscious of it. Because I think the first time I rolled up and realized what was in that cheeseburger or the egg roll or whatever I was getting that day, and I saw that it was like way more calories than I would have even imagined. I still got what I wanted because that's what I wanted, and it was a lot of calories. But it's amazing though how we're not really aware of what we are taking in just because we love to eat, and for me, I just ignore the signs sometimes, and that's just not good.
I also think that the reason I think fast food and those kind of places are so successful is because sometimes it's not so much that healthy food is more expensive. Unhealthy food is more convenient.
It tastes better.
It tastes better, but it's also more convenient. It's there. It's quick.
Yeah.
You come home, you've worked 9, 10 hours a day. It's a lot easier to go pick up a bucket of this or a bag of this or a box of something and provide that to your family and yourself rather than to go get the fresh vegetables, go get the whole grain stuff and cook it all and then put it on the table. There's a lot more work involved in that.
But I can still go.
I think you really hit something on the head there because
I can still go through McDonald's and choose a salad, maybe not the healthiest salad on the planet, but still I could choose a salad over the whatever else they serve, you know. So I don't choose to do that.
You know, and I think we talked a little bit about this right before the show too, but I'll try and segue it there. But you know, I'm a single dad, so I have the kids most nights, and you know, I try and do all my grocery shopping for the week and make sure I've got something here that they'll eat. Kids are hard to cook for, and I'm always on. You know, we talked about this where, you know, when you're big, you're either always on a diet or you're not.
Right.
You don't think about it at all. You know. And Terry pointed out that's both of those are unhealthy, I think, and we'll let her talk to that here in a sec. But I think you really hit something there where it's sometimes there's just nights where I'm like, God, you know, that we're out of food. I didn't plan appropriately. I missed a meal, whatever, that I didn't plan on making for the kids. I stayed an extra day or something. They didn't go to their mom's. And it's easier to order a pizza than it is for me to go to the store, get something else, cook it. I mean, I can have the pizza brought here. And I mean, certainly, you know, if there's a pizza in the house, I'm likely to have a piece of it. And it just sets me back for the day, you know. But yeah, Terry, talk a little bit more about what you were talking there about, like either when you're big, you're either we were kind of talking, I guess, again before the show, but you're either always obsessed about dieting or you completely ignore
Well,
it.
I think
thoughts
so
on
many
that?
of
That
us.
was good.
I think for me, you know, again, I've said I've lost 100 pounds twice and put it back again, because doing that, you have to be completely. You have to be so entrenched in that. It has to become your main focus. You have to, when you really want to lose weight, when you really want to change, it has to be your main focus. Or at least for me, I don't know how to do something just part way. Like, you know, I can say, oh, you make little changes and you make little, and you do this and you do that. But that really doesn't do it for me. I either have to be on a plan or I'm off a plan. Any plan will work as long as you're working the plan. Wouldn't you agree with me?
Absolutely. I'm 100% with you. I'm either all the way on and I'm beating myself up for every little mistake, or I'm all the way off and I don't want to talk about it at all.
And so the idea of dieting, like a lot of folks know, it's just not really a lifestyle change necessarily, you know. And so I don't even bother with dieting because I can't really get into the lifestyle change. I hope someday to be able to personally be able to just say, this is what I'm going to do, and this is how I'm going to live my life. One of the things Terry did, if I can sort of share that, is she stopped eating beef and pork. You know, she just took that off a couple of years back. I think you just completely stopped doing that. One of the healthier things that you've really done
And
stuck with it. You know, and that's a lifestyle change. That it's not going to be on your plate.
No, it won't be on my plate again.
Wow. Yeah, you know, it's funny. We have a fan who was kind enough to record a video and put it up. He's doing the same diet that TJ's doing right now. His name's Jason, and he had such a poignant thing that he said. He said that you know, it's not that I'm hungry. It's that the dieting is very frustrating. And if you feel like your life is going by too fast, get on a diet, because you will be aware of every passing moment of the day once you're on a diet. I thought that was brilliant. I really
It's so
did.
true.
So, yeah, so shout out to Jason. Good boy, Jason. Keep up the good work, sir.
And I also think exercise really is a really critical and key point in it. I know that was one of the ways I was really keeping the weight off last time, was I really incorporated a lot of exercise, and I was really strong. And then I had a major injury. And that was a huge setback for me.
Yeah, and that's the thing, is being able to persevere through just through what life throws at you, right? I mean, there's always, and I understand you had an injury. I'm not saying anything about your particular case, but just in general, we can find reasons not to do things, whether it's a diet or maybe not coming through on a podcast of some kind, like, you know, not saying anybody in particular. It's a general statement, but you can always find a reason not to do something, right?
Yeah, life will get in the way. Yeah.
Right. I mean, I'm sick. You know, like that's frequently what happens with me. You know, I'm going along, doing real well, then I get sick. And when I get sick, I usually get real sick. So, okay, I quit going to the gym. Oh, well, I'm going to have a little extra calories to help myself feel better. And then that's it. Then I'm off the wagon. So you just have to be able to find a way to persevere through whatever life throws at you. So if you're not able to do one thing generally, I mean, there's always exceptions, but generally you are able to do something to make sure you're still moving forward on that. And I think if we kind of hold ourselves accountable and quit finding reasons not to do something, a lot more people would be able to be successful. Obviously, I'm not skinny, so I haven't been able to do that yet. But someday I will find that and you know, get back on track.
And that's that lifestyle thing. It's that every day that this is what you do. This is just like you take your kids to school, or just like you know, have to do certain things that you just have to do. You just make it part of your routine, and that's what I haven't been able to do. I haven't been able to get that this is my lifestyle. My lifestyle is much more sedentary and, you know, whatever now. But you know.
Well, you know, I talked about that in one of our other shows, and that is you have to want to do it. Whether it's quit smoking, quit drinking, lose weight, whatever it is, you have to honestly and truly want to do it. If you're doing it because your doctor told you, because your spouse told you, because a friend told you, or geez, you know, maybe society's pressuring you to do it, you will not be successful. You have to truly, truly want to do it. And if you really do want to do it, then you'll probably succeed at it. If you don't want to do it, in my opinion, don't try, because you're going to be unhappy, and in the end, I don't think you'll be successful.
And I'd even say that a different way. I'd say that I mentally have to be in the game. I can't just be going through the work. I can't just go to the gym. I can't just drink the shakes. I have to mentally be in the game, and I have to literally spend the time that I'm in the shower in the morning, like positively thinking about what I'm trying to do, why I'm trying to do it. It's a mental effort, and I think that's where Jason's talking. You know, it's a frustrating thing to be on all the time when life is crapping on you, and your ex-wife's disappointing you, or you're upset with something that happened with a friend, or or you know, whatever, you didn't do as well as you thought you would in the gym. Whatever it is, you have to try and overcome all that, plus be tired from being calorie deprived and tired from working out.
I think the other thing about the other thing about that is when other people, you know, encourage you, or they think they're encouraging you, and they're really thinking that they're trying to be on your side and all of that kind of thing. Sometimes it's really frustrating. I didn't want to hear my mother tell me one more time that I should lose weight. You know what I mean? I didn't want to hear so and so say that they would offer me some kind of incentive if I would just lose whatever it was, you know, lose weight or whatever. So sometimes it can have a sort of a mental kind of a reverse kind of an effect.
The thing is, when people know you're on a program or know you're dieting, when you sit down to eat something, they go, "Are you really going to eat that?"
Yes,
I am.
You know, this. Yeah, I am making a choice to eat these calories right now, and later I will take them off somewhere else. But I don't want to explain that to you. And it's funny because, you know, this is another topic that you guys brought up that I thought was very poignant. Was, and again, TJ and I we take a thing that's, you know, kind of a rough thing. And living big is not fun. It's not for the faint of heart. And we make light of it. We make light of it a lot of the times because I don't know if that's part of the just, hey, I'm the big guy, I'll be funny, so I'm accepted, or if it's just, I think it's part of our nature on top of it. But, you know, it's one thing for you to say something. I think it's something else for somebody else to say something, even if it's in a joking manner. And you guys kind of broached that topic, and I was interested to see what your thoughts were on it.
We raised it with you guys because we were very curious about what you thought in terms of, you know, is it okay? Is it okay to make jokes about yourself and whatever? And is that different than what other people do? And it is. It is. It's very different. And my question is, why is it so different? What makes it so different?
I think it's the same thing. If you think if you're a skinny person or a thin, you know, or whatever you want to call it, and I call them normies. If you're a normie and you want to make a joke, even if it's a loving joke to a friend who's overweight, before you say it, replace the word fat or whatever joke you're going to make with the word black or gay, and then see how that joke plays out in your mind before you say it. I think you'll find that you edit yourself a little differently. You wouldn't make that kind of a racial joke. You wouldn't make that kind of a sex orientation joke. You got to think about that, even if it was a friend, you know, unless you were very close friends. I definitely have gone into situations and said, a perfect example. We walked into, I was traveling with about 6 or 7 friends. I think it was 6 friends up in Tahoe. And we went to breakfast that morning, which is always kind of a weird thing for me because now here I am, the big guy, eating breakfast, you know, with all these guys, which are self-conscious. And we slide into a booth, which there's, you know, trigger number 2. I'm in a booth. I'm a big guy in a booth. And I'm right in the middle of the table. And I'm like, and I said to him, I go, God, I feel like fat Jesus, because I was like, you know, Jesus in the middle of the Last Supper. And everybody laughed. But then that kind of opened the gate for somebody later to make a crack. Like, oh, yeah, give it to the fat guy, which hey, it's okay if I say it. You can't say that.
right.
You know,
Hey,
that kind of thing.
I'm gonna have to go against you guys here because I'm fine with it as long as it's not said in a hateful way. Like Phil, you told the story about when you're in Vegas and the guy says, "Hey, fatty's in the way."
Yeah.
Well, to me, that's in a hurtful way. If some guy was laughing, "Oh, Jesus, this big fat guy's in my way," in a joking way, I wouldn't care. I personally am not. I don't think I'm as self-conscious about being overweight for whatever reason, so I don't care. If it's meant to be malicious, then yes, I'll get upset, and I don't think that's okay in any circumstance for any reason. But if it's in good fun, I tend to not be sensitive to it. I'm whatever. I hear fat guy jokes all the time and fat guy cracks, and as long as, like I said, it's not malicious, I'm fine.
How do you discern? How do you discern
that's just
between
me personally.
whether it's malicious or not? I mean, what would be an example of that? I'm just kind of curious.
Like I said, kind of like Phil told a story. You'd have to watch the episode, but he stepped in front of somebody, and he's like, "Hey," the guy who he stepped in front of was yelling to his friends, "Hey, wait up, the fatty's in my way here." So he was saying fatty in a derogatory way. If somebody goes, "Hey, Phil, you look like Fat Jesus," because he's at the table, to me that's in a joking manner. I mean, you could kind of tell. I think it's that way with anything, right? I mean, if it's a racial slur, that's probably being malicious. But if it's said in a joking way by a comedian, that's not really malicious. I don't know. I think some people are just more sensitive to it. I'm just not one of those people.
Well, how about you, ladies?
I don't take too much of that personally, so I mean, I really don't.
Yeah, I don't
I
either.
just feel like that's your issue, not mine.
And you know what? I look in a mirror.
So you already know.
Yeah, I already know. So, yeah.
And to your point, TJ, if my friend Jeff had said, "Hey, if he had said it, hey, you look like Fat Jesus," I'd have laughed. We all know what that reference is to the movie, and I felt like that. So it would have been funny if somebody walked in the restaurant who wasn't with our party, and as he walked past the table, stopped all his friends and said, "Look, it's Fat Jesus." That would have been
That would have been
something else.
different. Yes.
Well, he would have meant it. Yeah, I mean, he would have
That
meant
would
it
have
in
been
a
malicious,
joking.
yeah.
Yeah, he meant it in a joking way, but at your expense. So
Yeah,
to me,
exactly.
you're kind of being a punching bag at that
Right.
point. So, I don't know, and I think some of it is I haven't always been fat. Like I use the term fat, and a lot of people think. I mean, when I say fat, some people cringe. They don't like it. To me, it's just a word. If you use it, you kind of take the power out of it. I guess I don't know, but maybe because I haven't been fat my whole life, I haven't built up that automatic because I'm fat response. If I don't get a job, I don't think it's because I'm fat. If a girl doesn't like me, I don't think my first thought isn't, "Oh, well, she doesn't like me because I'm fat." If people stare at me when I walk in the room, I'm not thinking they're staring at me because I'm fat. Whereas Phil, whenever we've had conversations, it seems like
I lean more that way. Yeah.
and I think it's because you have been fat your whole life, right? So
Right, and I think
you're
that's why I
just
try
more
harder to be
sensitive
more
to it,
yeah.
right?
I think that's why I try to be more funny and personable. And I mean, I think anybody. I mean, I don't care if you're missing a leg, you're missing an ear, you're fat. You tend to, if you feel like you have some perceived physical flaw, and again, we've talked about this too. But if you perceive you have some physical flaw, you try and compensate that with your personality and really let people know who you are, and so that they judge you on your merits versus on your looks. And maybe that's just been my whole life's experience. So that's how I approach everything. I mean, subconsciously.
Well, I will tell you, being large and being what you said normie, you're treated certainly completely different. You are treated absolutely and viewed completely different.
And well, some of that is that you've lost weight, right? I'm not saying that there aren't stereotypes. Phil had told a story about one of his friends who lost weight, and all of a sudden he was doing better at work, and women were talking to him a little bit more. So some of it is, yes, you look weight, so people perceive you different. But do you think that some of that is perhaps how you become when you've lost
How
that
you
weight?
perceive yourself, yeah.
Do you become more confident? Do you put yourself out there? Do you maybe you change because you lost the weight, and that's what's causing the situation to get better.
I think for a lot of people that is the case. Maybe not for everyone, but for a lot of people, that is the case. I had a friend who had some bariatric surgery and lost a significant amount of weight, and all of a sudden her personality was very different. I mean, at one time she was agoraphobic, wouldn't go anywhere, thought everybody was looking at her, and I was like, what makes you think you're that important? Everybody's like looking at you, but she felt that way, that everybody would be staring at her and stuff.
Right.
She lost the weight, and all of a sudden she was just a completely different person. You know, she'd go here, go there, and so forth. I'm sure that it took her a little bit of time to kind of get there, but you know, she lost the weight and her whole attitude changed. You know, I've been thin and I'm heavy now and so forth, and I have a good self perception of myself. I know who I am. I know what I'm capable of, and so forth. And so there's very little that can actually get inside and really, you know, hurt me personally, a joke or not. You know, I mean, I can get upset at someone, but for being rude and disrespectful, but they really can't get through this armor because I just know who I am. And so I think if I lost a lot of weight or some more weight or whatever, I'd still be the same high self-esteem person that I am right now.
And I could say that even Kim could ask that because she's known me when I was 100 pounds lighter. Do you think I'm the same?
Same person.
Same person.
Yeah, same person.
Well, I mean, it was. I hate to wrap it up, but we're running extremely short on time.
Thank you very much.
I
It was
really
great.
appreciate. Yeah, I appreciate you guys coming and spending some time with us, and hopefully we'll be able to do
Love
it again in
to.
the future.
You know, the 12 weeks we've been doing this, definitely you guys have been a huge influence, and to have you on the show and to talk with you in person has just been a real treat for me. So I really,
Well,
really
we're going to
appreciate
stay tuned to everything that Fat Kings is doing. We're really impressed with what you're doing and really appreciating the just sort of the connection here. So, again, thanks for being friends and fans of ours, and we certainly are of you guys as well.
Absolutely.
All right, everybody. Well, I guess that'll conclude our joyous show. It was hopefully a little bit nicer than last week's, because I know last week's was a little bit masculine.
50% less testosterone this time. So.
That's right. All right. Well,
All right.
We'll talk to you guys next
Bye.
week.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
All right, guys. Everybody, thanks for tuning in to another week of Fat Kings. And remember, it's good to be the king.
What you want? What you want?